1. The first impression judge. You just push the door open and step into a room. Before you even have a chance to say hello or crack a smile, their brain has already printed out a detailed report on you. They scan you from head to toe, the way you coordinate your outfit, the sound of your footsteps, whether your gaze is timid or confidently sweeping through the crowd. From that raw data, their brain quickly locks in exactly what type of person you are. This mechanism was originally born to help them feel in control of the situation, a psychological defense to read people for safety. But the fatal flaw is this file is almost permanently locked. They are incredibly stubborn with their initial assessment and extremely lazy about updating it, even if you later prove them completely wrong. If you've ever strongly disliked or incredibly adored someone from the very first second of meeting them, with zero logical reason, you've definitely switched this mode on before. 2. The comparison judge. Whenever they step into a group setting, their brain doesn't just take in the scenery, it morphs into a competitive leaderboard. Their eyes constantly dart around to establish a frame of reference: who is the center of attention, who speaks more charmingly, who is wearing the more expensive outfit, or who looks more successful. Everyone around them is thrown onto an invisible scale. Even though outwardly they might still be smiling and chatting internally, a fierce ranking tournament is taking place. The consequence of this lens is that they lose the ability to form genuine connections because they don't see people as independent individuals with their own unique beauty, but merely as rungs on a ladder. And even scarier, this blade of comparison will eventually swing back and slice into their own self-confidence. If the automatic question that pops into your head when you walk into a party is, "Who is the most outstanding person here?" then you are a true comparison judge. 3. The moral high ground judge. This person possesses a living dictionary with definitions of right and wrong carved in stone. Their personal value system is incredibly rigid, with absolutely no room for gray areas. The moment they see someone deviate even a millimeter from their standards, they immediately pull a red card and deliver a verdict. In debates, they always stand on an invisible moral high ground, clinging tightly to their stance, while completely dismissing the hidden struggles, context, or inner turmoil behind someone else's actions. This clear-cut approach gives them a safe, easy-to-understand worldview, but it strips them of empathy and compassion. They aren't necessarily bad people. Their lens just lacks flexibility. If your mental catchphrase is, "I would never do something like that," forgetting that you've never walked in their shoes, you're standing on the peak of judgment. 4. The lifestyle critic. These are the self-appointed judges, constantly scoring how other people run their lives, even when no one asked for a verdict. They scrutinize everything from how much a coworker spends on boba tea, to what job an acquaintance chooses, to how a neighbor raises their kids or enjoys their weekend. In casual conversations, they always slip in phrases like, "Oh my God, if it were me, I would do it this way." Deep down, they have a fierce and somewhat arrogant belief that their formula for living is the absolute supreme truth. They forget one simple fact: every human being is an individual with completely different starting points, resources, and priorities. If you often glance at someone else's life and shake your head thinking, "How can they even live like that?" you are a certified lifestyle critic. 5. The detail picker. When standing in front of a magnificent painting, instead of admiring the whole piece, they will press their face against a hidden corner just to find a smudge of paint. A tiny pronunciation error, a small wrinkle on a messy shirt, or a momentarily awkward joke can immediately monopolize their entire bandwidth of attention. During an excellent hour-long presentation, the only thing they remember and gossip about afterward is a typo on slide 15. Magnifying these imperfections obscures the bigger picture and the efforts of others. This extreme strictness makes them harsh and negative. If you've ever crossed someone off your good side just because of a mistake as small as a fingernail, you are truly a professional detail picker. 6. The assumption builder. They possess an impressive cinematic imagination with just a single puzzle piece. They can assemble a complete picture without needing to verify anything. To them, a lack of data is never a problem. For example, if the other person just drops a like icon or replies with a blunt, "Okay," their brain immediately writes a script. "They're definitely mad at me. This attitude is so disrespectful." These assumptions take root incredibly fast, turning into absolute truths in their minds and directly dictating their subsequent attitude. Their fatal weakness is that they would rather sit and stew in their own fabricated anger than simply open their mouth and ask a direct question to clarify. If you've ever given someone the silent treatment over bad intentions that you entirely made up in your head, you need to be careful with your assumption-building skills. 7. The social media judge. Social media is their favorite execution ground for judgment. The speed at which their thumbs scroll matches the speed at which they jump to conclusions. A check-in photo at a luxury resort is enough for them to conclude, "This guy wastes money probably begging his parents for it." A slightly gloomy late-night status update is immediately labeled, "What a weak person, just begging for attention." They are fooled by the illusion of the digital web, forgetting that what people show is only the sparkling 1% or the darkest, highly curated corners of their lives. The constant barrage of information gives them the delusion that they actually read right through the lives of people they haven't even had a cup of coffee with. If you've ever watched an acquaintance's story and clicked your tongue thinking, "I know exactly what kind of person they are," you are a social media judge. 8. The instant labeler. Their brain is like an industrial label maker. The moment you accidentally slip up or act slightly out of the ordinary, they immediately stamp deadly adjectives on your forehead. Lazy, arrogant, boring. This labeling mechanism helps their brain save energy, simplifying a human world that is inherently incredibly complex. However, people constantly change depending on the context, but their labels stick like superglue. Worse yet, once they attach a label, they fall victim to confirmation bias, actively seeking out only the next wrong actions to prove the label right while turning a blind eye to the person's positive traits. If you define someone using exactly one adjective and haven't changed that thought in years, this is you. 9. The insecure projector. This is perhaps the most sophisticated and deeply wounded judgmental lens. Their criticism isn't actually aimed at other people. It's a mirror reflecting their own deepest insecurities. When they see someone shining with strengths they desperately crave but lack, their psychological defense mechanism kicks in. Instead of admitting jealousy or admiration, they choose to drag down the other person's value with negative comments. A confident person is mocked as a show-off. A successful person is dismissed as just lucky or manipulative. Stepping on others helps them temporarily soothe their threatened ego and establish a fake emotional balance. If you've ever been inexplicably annoyed by someone only to bitterly realize later that they are living the life you secretly desire, you've experienced this state. 10. The non-stop judge. This is the final boss level of the judgmental mindset. For them, scrutinizing, analyzing, and commenting is no longer a choice. It's an automatic rhythm that runs 24/7. They walk into a coffee shop, get on a bus, or join a meeting, and their radar immediately sweeps over everyone. Every gesture, word, and outfit of complete strangers falls into the crosshairs of their mental commentary. It becomes an ingrained habit, a background voice that never turns off. But the cruelest part is swinging the sword of judgment so much will eventually point the blade back at themselves. They judge themselves by the exact same inhumanely harsh standards they force upon others. If you realize your mind is like a radio station, constantly broadcasting commentary about the entire world around you, you are letting judgment swallow you whole. So what about you? Out of these 10 judgmental lenses, which mode do you find yourself accidentally switching on the most when looking at the world around you? Or is there someone who makes your blood boil because they possess this entire package of traits? Let me know down in the comments.